Hey there, and welcome. Let's talk about something we've all felt, right? That feeling of being totally stuck. Like you're putting in all this effort, but you're just spinning your wheels, getting absolutely nowhere. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into the ancient book of Isaiah to find a path out of that stagnation and into a pretty brilliant future. And we'll do it by asking 5 essential questions.
All right, so let's jump right in. The very first question that Isaiah chapter 59 tackles is one we've all wrestled with at some point. But, before you can find a cure, you've got to figure out the problem. You need a diagnosis.
Exactly. And to really get to the bottom of why we stagnate, the book of Isaiah gives us this fantastic, super practical analogy. I think this is going to make so much sense. Okay, picture this. You're out in your yard, you turn the spigot on full blast. You can even hear the water running, but nothing's coming out of the hose. So what's the first thing you think? Is the water main broken? But nope. Most of the time, the problem is way simpler, isn't it? There's just a big old kink in the hose. And that idea that the problem isn't the source is captured perfectly right here. Isaiah basically says, hey, God's arm isn't too short to save you. The supply line is wide open. The power is there. So, if the source is fine, what in the world is causing the blockage? Well, the very next verse tells us. It says the problem is our iniquity. Now, hang on, because that word can sound kind of heavy and religious. But the original Hebrew word here, toga, is just fascinating. It doesn't just mean, some big sin you committed. It literally means a state of being twisted or warped or distorted on the inside. Sound familiar? It's just like that kinked hose. So this is the first huge takeaway. Feeling stuck isn't a sign that help has been cut off. It's a sign that something inside us, our perspective, our attitude, our heart, has a kink in it. It's blocking the flow that's already there. The solution isn't to find a new water supply, it's just to untwist the hose. Okay, so we've got the diagnosis. But what about the symptoms? What does it actually feel like to live day to day with that twisted hose? Let's dig into that with our second question. And again, Isaiah gives us this incredible picture. It says when we're in this state, we're like someone who just weaves a spider's web. Think about that for a second. It's a ton of work, right? It's intricate, it looks busy, but at the end of the day, what have you really got? Can you wear it? Is it going to keep you warm? Absolutely not. This is just a perfect metaphor for that feeling of spinning your wheels. That feeling, right, where you're working so hard, you are so busy, but it all just adds up to nothing. Something fragile and useless that can't actually cover you or protect you when you need it. It is the absolute definition of futile effort. So let's just recap for a second. We're internally twisted, and all our best efforts are like weaving spider webs. Man, that sounds pretty hopeless, doesn't it? If that's the case, how in the world do we ever break free? Is there any way out of this? And honestly, the text leans into that bleakness for a moment. It paints this picture of a world that's just so twisted, so upside down, that there's literally no human solution left. There's no hero, no good person strong enough or righteous enough to step in and fix the absolute mess. It's a state of total human helplessness. But then you get to this verse, and this is the big turning point. Just when humanity hits rock bottom, when there's literally no one to help, the text says that God himself is appalled by this, and he steps in. His own arm brings salvation. This is so key. The rescue doesn't come from us. It's a total external intervention. And check this out. He doesn't just, send a nice thought. He gets into the fight himself. The imagery here is of a warrior gearing up for battle, putting on a breastplate of righteousness, a helmet of salvation. This is not some distant, passive observer. This is the ultimate intervention, the cavalry arriving when all hope seemed lost. So once this divine warrior enters the scene, everything changes. The whole tone of the book just flips from total despair to this incredible hope. And with that hope comes a command, which leads us to our fourth question. And this one is maybe the most practical one of all. The command is arise, shine. And I want you to notice something really important about the wording here. It doesn't say, hey, try really hard to shine, or go generate your own light. No, it says arise, shine, for your light has come. The reason you can shine is because the source of light has already shown up. Okay, that's great, but what does it actually mean for us? right? Because there's a problem here, a little paradox. We're told to be a light in a dark world, but we don't have our own light bulb. A lamp can't just decide to turn itself on. My phone screen is dark until I plug it into the wall, right? It has to be connected to a power source.
So how do we solve this? Well, we get another vision, this time from the prophet Zechariah, that totally cracks the code. He sees a golden lampstand. That's us, okay? But here's the cool part. Nobody is running around trying to manually fill it with oil. Instead, it's connected by these golden pipes directly to 2 living olive trees. And those trees are just pumping out a constant, endless, totally effortless supply of fuel. The message here is absolutely profound. Our ability to shine has nothing to do with our own effort or how much spiritual oil we can store up. It is 100% dependent on our connection to that living, inexhaustible source. The goal is not to try harder to be a light. The goal is simply to stay plugged in.
All right, so now we know the how, stay connected, which brings us to our final question. What's the promised results? What does this brilliant future, illuminated not by our own effort, but by divine glory, actually look like?
Well, first, the promise is one of incredible influence. When you're truly shining with this light, you don't have to go around chasing people down. The light itself becomes a beacon, a magnet that just naturally draws others who are lost in the dark and looking for hope and direction. The second promise is about profound restoration. I mean, look at this beautiful imagery. Families and communities being brought back together. This is a picture of reconciliation, where all those broken and distant relationships are healed and made whole again.
And the third promise is one of supernatural provision and abundance. The idea is that when you are aligned with your true purpose and connected to the source, all your needs, material, emotional, spiritual, all of it, will be met in ways you could never have achieved on your own.
And that really brings us full circle. The journey from that twisted, blocked hose to a brightly shining lamp isn't about mustering more willpower. It's about diagnosing the internal kink, allowing for that divine intervention to straighten it out, and then simply staying connected to the true source of light. So I guess the question that leaves us with is, what needs untwisting in our own lives so that glory can finally start to flow?